So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's a crap ton of comic book superhero movies coming out. Seriously, ever since 2014, there's been just a crap ton of comic book movies coming out. And there's still going to be a crap ton of comic book movies coming out, which if they're great, more power to them. But today we're going to go over 9 canceled superhero movies and talk about could they have been good, could they have been bad, talk about all that stuff. And, so, yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So, first up, we have probably the most famous canceled superhero movie, Superman Lives. Would have been Tim Burton directing the film, and Nicolas Cage starring as Superman, and it would have started filming in the 90s. This idea is just, like, look at that costume. Just look at that. That is complete and utter gold. This entire movie it looked like a disaster. From the set photos we have, from the script we have, this movie literally looks like it would have been a complete and utter mess. It looks like it would have been a complete disaster, which, you know, there could have been some fun stuff in it, but to be honest, this movie looks terrible. It looked awful. The script that we have for it looked terrible. It looked like it was going to deal with Superman's death, and then Superman's resurrection, and then evil Superman. There's a lot. There's a lot to process with this movie, and it just looks terrible. It really did look bad. And it just doesn't really work. So, I don't know. The movie could have been great. Anything could be great. Next up, we have the Green Arrow film. There were going to be a Green Arrow movie coming out, I think, in the early 2000s. You know, I think a Green Arrow movie could really, really work. I think, you know, there's, of course, the CW show, which is very popular, but I think a Green Arrow film could really, really work, and I think a Green Arrow film could really, really work if it's taken to the right idea. I think it would be really good if Christopher Nolan made a Green Arrow movie, kind of like he did with Batman. I know Batman and Green Arrow are very similar, but I think that would be great. Or make a grounded I want to see a Green Arrow movie. I really like Green Arrow as a character. Would an early 2000s Green Arrow film, would have that been great? Probably not. Now, here's the next one is just insane. Luke Cage, and directed by Quentin Tarantino. Yes, Quentin Tarantino was in talks to make a Luke Cage movie. Now, if you don't know Quentin Tarantino, he's one of the most famous directors of our modern day. He likes to make R-rated, long monologue movies. Would have Luke Cage been R-rated? Maybe, because this probably would have been before the MCU. Quentin Tarantino, though, has been talks to make a lot of big blockbusters. Like, he's been talking of making a Star Trek film. He was in talks to make a Luke Cage movie. I think a Luke Cage movie would work. I think it would really, really work. Would have been any good, though. To be honest, there's not much info about this besides Quentin Tarantino would have been writing and directing, and I think it would have come out like 2000, 2001, something like either late 90s or early 2000s. Now here's something really funny. There is a Catwoman movie starring Halle Berry, but Tim Burton was planning on making a Catwoman film directed by Tim Burton and starring Michelle Pfeiffer, which I think would have come out 2 to 3 years after Batman Returns. But, of course, I think the reason why this film didn't happen is Warner Brothers kicked Tim Burton out for Joel Schumacher to make it Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, which of course was a genius idea. But a Catwoman movie, I think a Catwoman movie would have been great, starring Michelle Pfeiffer and directed by Tim Burton. I think it would have been weird. I think it would have been dark. I think it would have been just really, really messed up. But I think it would have been cool. Here's something really interesting. X-Men Origins Magneto starring Ian McKellen. Now, the main reason why this film didn't happen is because X-Men Origins flopped so stinking hard. I think it was one of the biggest flops of 2009. So they actually had tons and tons and tons and tons of X-Men origin stories planned. I think they would have used a de-age Ian McKellen, which, you know, did not look great from what we saw of it in X-Men Origins Wolverine. X-Men Origins Wolverine is a guilty pleasure for me. It's not good, but I can enjoy the film. I think it's fun. This movie could have been good. Yeah, easily. Here's something that really fascinates me. Superman Flyby, directed by J.J. Abrams. Now, I think this movie would have been a sequel to Superman Returns. And I actually really like Superman Returns. Is it a bit boring at times? Yes. Is it a bit too long? Absolutely. But I really do enjoy Superman Returns. So for J.J. Abrams to make a Superman film, I think would have been great. I think this film would have come out like 2007, 2008, and I think it would have been a really good idea. I really do. J.J. Abrams is a great director, and I think it would have been a really great Superman movie. And finally, James Cameron's Spider-Man starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Now, this is the most famous one. This right here is literally the most famous canceled superhero film, like, probably of all time. This and the past Batman v Superman. This movie would have been directed by James Cameron and stars Leonardo DiCaprio. Would have started Leonardo DiCaprio as Spider-Man. And there's this fan art poster that's actually really good. And that would have been the most hilarious movie just ever. That would have been the most random film that they could have ever done. I'm literally serious. It would have been probably very terrible because, James Cameron's a really great director, but I don't think he would have made a good, I don't think he would have made a very good, Spider-Man film. I really don't. I think it would have been a bit too artsy. I think it would have been a bit too, I don't really know, and I just don't really know. The film was going to come out probably about the same time as Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, May 3rd, 2002. I don't know. This could have been either really stinking good or really stinking bad. So, you guys have that was 9 comic book canceled superhero films. What do you think of this? Let us know all your thoughts down below. Seriously, do any of these films sound good to you? Let us know all your thoughts. I think the couple ones that could have been good: Superman Flyby by J.J. Abrams could have been good. The Catwoman by Tim Burton could have been good. And, I want to say Spider-Man by James Cameron could have been good, but that just sounds like a train wreck waiting to happen. And maybe Luke Cage by Quentin Tarantino sounds pretty good. So which one do you sound good? Which one would you have liked it to see? Let us know your thoughts down below. If you guys liked it, hit the like button and subscribe and that post notification bell so you next one upload another video. And if you guys like this, you guys like talking about nerdy stuff, culture, movies, I do run a podcast I do every other Tuesday with a friend of mine. It's called the Movie View Podcast. And you guys can check out my Instagram at Daniel77. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. General out.